Okay, well, hopefully it is. Okay, it is. All right, we're rocking. But taking things to that next level and like pushing the limits. And the thing that I really admire a shit ton, and I try to keep up with, like, there's a couple of different magicians who like I really like to keep up with, and you guys definitely, because like JS, you going out to different place, whether or even just doing it, seeing at your own place, your backyard, doing all right, being able to heal people at a distance or up close to those levels to where it could eventually open up people's eyes to get off of pharmaceutical drugs, seeing things in a whole different light, as well as that elevation. And that is, it's fucking awesome. Like, I need to do something with myself because I have something in my mouth that's not horrible or anything, but I'm like, I want to do a better healing right now. Like, I did one with Raphael. I put his sigil here, and I put blood on it. Just kind of thinking about like all the stuff I learned from you guys, like from my, expression and all that. And then I ended up having like a sore throat for a week, and like I had a ton of like fire getting shot into me. And I'm like, but it was to beat my addiction, to be able to, and stop being in such cycles, as well as cleanse out my lungs. And I'm like, man, these are like tools that can really change not only like someone's life, like the whole fucking world. And hats off to you. Like, it's badass.
Thank you,
Very
thank you.
badass.
And yeah, I mean, we're always trying to make breakthroughs, and the work that we've done with Raphael, that's really like some of the biggest breakthrough work that we've done. The very first ritual we ever did was for her, and she had injured her back at work and slipped a bone out of place, like in her pelvic area, in her lower back, and we, she's her hips and her lower back were so swollen and disfigured that she laid down in bed and couldn't get back up. So it was
Oh
like, fuck,
God.
I've got to carry her to the hospital. And something just said, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, man, if I can't use magic to fix a situation like this, then what good is it? What can I do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when I got the ritual downloaded, like right then and there. And so I was like, hey, babe, before we go to the hospital, can we try this? And she's like, yeah, I'll try anything to
I
keep
was
from going to the fucking
game,
hospital.
yeah.
Yeah.
We've been down that road before because this was a
Yeah.
re-injury. I had injured myself in college in a car accident. And so two of my vertebrae are pulled apart just a little bit, but it's enough that anytime I move in a certain way, it'll usually pop it out again where it used to. And
Okay.
I've been on pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, I never got them off the street, but they had debilitated my life, the addiction to them, just through the doctors. They were my drug dealer.
Yeah.
It's always only for pain, but you're addicted to that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so yeah, I'll let him finish telling the story, but
Oh no,
that's where we were at that point.
it's cool, and you might have heard it. I think I talked about it on a podcast with JD Temple, like one of the first podcasts I ever did with him. But what we did is I practically carried her, helped her into the ritual space, had her lay down in the universal circle, and I put the sigil on the ground in front of her so that she could look into it.
Yeah.
She was laying face down, and propped her up with pillows, and I put the sigil underneath her pelvis also, like on a piece of cloth. So I put
Okay.
it under her body. I put it to where she could stare into it the whole time to open her perception to Raphael during the ritual. And then I also pinned the sigil on the ceiling above her. And so
Yeah.
It was in
yeah,
the middle
and
of
yeah, I was
The
open both sigils and creating like this fucking
a beam.
this electric current, you know,
Yeah.
that was above and below her. And I also drew the sigil on her back, like over the afflicted area, like with a makeup pen, like an eyeliner pen. And so I started evoking the spirit through the sigil on her back, like right over the injury. And then my daughter like bangs on the door, Mommy, Daddy, I cut my finger, And I'm like, oh shit. So I stopped what I'm doing, I opened the door, and with a pair of scissors, she had just barely nicked the side of her finger, just enough to produce a single drop of blood. And I'm like, oh, good, you can help Daddy. Come here, put that blood on Mommy's back right there on top of Raphael's sigil. So she did. She came in and she put the drop of blood on there, and then I wrapped her finger up, and she was fine. And so I went right back into the evocation, and then I pricked my finger and traced over it the sigil in mine and my daughter's blood, and spoke the conjuration until his presence came into the room, like very, very heavy. This very heavy presence came down into the room. And at that point, he kind of took over the ritual. You know, he was like puppeting me around the room. And so I ended up like kneeling behind her and just putting my hands like just barely touching her back. And I felt like all this, like first, like this pressure coming down on me, like even harder. And then this electric tingling going through my body. And then the fucking, like the bone in her back popped back into place by itself.
Yeah,
Like,
I had felt like something, like a blanket of just heaviness was on top of me, and then pop.
yeah, it popped so loud we heard it pop, like audibly. It was that loud. And I literally felt the bone move back into place. And I wasn't putting any pressure on her. I was just barely touching her. And then a voice said, she'll feel 10 times better tomorrow. And I'm like, oh wow. Okay, thank you so much. And I closed out the ritual, and then she was able to stand up by herself and walk back to the bedroom. And she was really tender for like 3 days.
I felt like I had what I can imagine surgery would be without being cut open.
Yeah.
Like, because you don't have to heal from the cut, you know, you're just healing from that all healing back together.
Yeah.
So that's how I could describe that.
Anyway,
and that was like for 2 days.
Yeah, she was 100% better after this. And not only that, but it healed her fibromyalgia. She'd been diagnosed with fibromyalgia for years, and it healed all of those symptoms as well.
Yeah.
So we've been wide open ever since that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would, oh God, that's so mind blowing. Like seeing the reality of that makes everything else like seem within grasp. Like especially like something healing. Now someone can say, now I know there's maybe some bullshit I think you had to deal with someone where they healed it and then they're denying it or something like shit like that. But it's like, man, oh man, like that's how can you say nothing about that? Like a love spell, or maybe someone getting, you know, like I forget what the hell they're called. To attack someone, you know, what you got from Connor Kendall. I forget what that stuff's called.
Oh yeah. Connor sent me some badass oil, like some like a baneful elixir.
Baneful, yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna test that out here later tonight. We'll see. We'll see if I can do it.
That's crazy though. I mean, especially talking about that energy, you feeling, and like, you know, okay, so like when I got the Astartes love spell, in the mail, both times you could feel energy outside of the package, and I've never felt that with anything before. You know, everything else is like it's a super magic charge, and it's like, like the only other thing I've ever felt that way with is like Moldavite. Because that shit is like crazy. And one time I was on psychedelics and I didn't know someone had a Moldavite in the room. I had my eyes shut and this huge green thing was pulsing and it turned out to be that. And I was like, there's some shit going on there for sure. But getting that, God, you could just feel the energy. And what I've heard for some of your people's reviews and everything with all that is just a lot of shadow work.
Okay.
Just an intense amount of shadow work. And then working with Belial, it's working with that shadow self. And I feel like I now understand, like when I'm like pushing myself, it's like kind of that shadow self kind of like nudging you, like you can keep going hard, not against you. And, you know, even hearing about you empowering that is such another level. Like I have a little black mirror I've never used for anything, but I'm like, damn, like that's some next level shit. In like 5 years from now, doing that level of shit, like I just say like the whole world, like regardless of the shit that's going on, like these are like able to be codes to really recode the reality we're in instead of falling to the top guys up there making up all these leaders, these corporations, and really just kind of pulling out and bodying himself. I don't know why I just got off on that little tangent with those Astartes thing with the dark thing, but like it's awesome. But I definitely had to go through that too, like both times, and it never worked out. Thank God it didn't work out. And it made me learn about like those, you know, my connections at the start day and what she does for you. Felt like I was having to fight through the underworld really to just kind of get a grip to my own reality, and like seeing how fake I was. Like with Belial, I mean, that's why I had to shave my head. Like he was just like, come on, like look at all these lies you're living on. Look at all this shit. And it's like, Jesus, like, yeah, working with these spirits is like one hell of an evolutionary process. And I'm not telling everyone go jump aboard because you need to really have your shit together. But then again, sometimes it's good to just go head first, like if you're gonna say fuck it, at least say fuck it with one of these like characters that actually really help push you forward if you're willing to do it yourself. And that's also something too. It's like I could sit here all day and say, oh, I've worked with this and done that. But it's like, what really have you gotten from it? And it's sometimes, something external, and sometimes it's something really internal. And I think that that's the true reward, really.
Hey, I'm over 40 years old. I have a 20-year-old son, a 17-year-old son, and then our 11-year-old. And I push my children to really think about working down this path. Two of them were raised in the church by their father, so they have a hard time struggling to grasp it. They're
Yeah.
getting there though. But I know how beneficial this is. And if they learn this in their 20s, they do the shadow work, they learn the self-love. Like imagine where they'll be when they're my age, and
Mm,
great their children's lives will be because they are better people.
yeah.
So we truly believe it. I think everybody should do it. Every single person should just start contact with. For me, it was Astarte. She was my safe space. She was the one that I worked with since I was a kid. She's the one I trust my children with. She's not the only one, but she is the one that I have no problem doing a working for my children with Astarte.
Yeah.
Not introduce their reality to, because it's not my decision. It's theirs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you need help, soothing my children of a situation or giving them strength through a situation. I have a son that's in the military, so I do protection rituals for him, of course. And yeah, she's who I work with. So I definitely advise anyone that is looking to just dabble in with her.
Yeah, she is awesome. She definitely, and also I was able to have the first time I've ever had lust, like feeling coming from a spirit. I got aluminum foil and I did it and I held it as I was driving home one time on a starry night. And her energy went through it and just like went up my body. And that was the first time I was like, holy shit, like this isn't just some mind game, because sometimes it is that meeting at the crossroads in your mind, but there's also this energy level to it. And then also just the case of just a reality that occurs around with it. Maybe something cracks outside. Or today as I was driving, I was thinking about kind of old habits that need to be melted away, and this big old vulture flies right in front of my car, like this close from the windshield, like it was waiting on this tree for me. Flies on over there, goes around, and then three ravens that I see everywhere go flying away like right in the distance. I was like, okay. These are just like great little things that are external, that are, it's just reality talking to you.
Have you started invoking those spirits of those animals when they show themselves to you? Because they're probably calling to you.
I know you guys have had things with the master spirit, like the totems of the animals, and I guess I need to find. I guess could I just find that in a communication with it, just kind of like a blind communication, and then I'll be able to channel something like that. Like
Yeah, you probably triggered this by working with the master key in Shimyaza. I call him the king of the shaman, and a big part of working with him is learning how to work with primal animal spirits. And once you start working with him, like they start going out your, like flying into your windshield and shit, like really getting your attention. And so what we do is we'll invoke the master spirit of that animal when it presents itself to us.
As I'm driving down the road.
Yeah, you can be driving down the road.
Okay.
Yeah. And, dude, like the physical shit that will happen to you from invoking those animal spirits will blow your mind. Like for instance, like the vulture. You brought up the vulture.
Yeah.
Yeah, the turkey vulture. I've invoked him twice. The first time, like it, not only the energy was crazy, okay, like a typical invocation of a new spirit. It's always going to be new and different and intense. But I had this lump come up right between my eyes, like right where my third eye is. Just this little lump. It wasn't discolored. It wasn't red like a blemish or anything. It was just like this little lump, and it was there for about 2 hours, and then it disappeared. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. I wonder if it had anything to do with the, invoking that spirit. And so a few weeks later, I did the same thing. I invoked the spirit again, and the fucking lump came back up. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I don't even understand. It's just stuff like that, man. It's like it really lets you know that you're doing something real.
Yeah, it presents itself on that external. I mean, it's always great to be talking in theory, but it's another thing to have the experience. And that's, today I was thinking about like what I feel like after all this years, I understand myself and understand I'm a sorcerer because I program things into reality, whether that's my intent with what I'm doing or intent with an object in front of me or, doing the spell. And it's like everything is, but not everyone's reality sees it as that. And becoming in tune with that is really when that's what it is to be a sorcerer, is to be in tune with the reality that already is around you. It's just, since you're doing it and everyone else is blind to it, it seems blasphemous. And it's crazy because it's not till you get down that. And I also get, it's like once you get down that too, you can't go back. Of course you can't go back because you don't have anything to go back to. Like once you open your mind to that point, and that's been a struggle. I know that like individuals who came from Christianity and all that, like I had that heavy, and it's great to see you guys working with Raphael, and like that kind of makes me in my own eyes, like I work with angels and demons. I'm cool with whatever, like, and Belial would say, dude, do what the fuck you want. Tell me to fuck off, dude, or like stand up for yourself. Like fuck all that bullshit. And I needed to work with someone like that so I can like feel okay to even do that because my spiritual self and I don't know, just being able to like work with different things to be able to evolve into what you need to evolve into and becoming that, embodying that, not being afraid of what people think. And I don't know, it's one hell of a journey to walk down into. But the reality, if you can fix some cancer, and I don't know if you were able to do that with anyone, the cancer situation. Have you been able to, or has that been?
We're actually scheduled to perform that ritual for the first time tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I spoke to them earlier today, and we're probably going to have to reschedule it because they're having trouble finding the correct sacrifice that we're going to use. But they found a lady that sells white quail, and that's what we were going to use is a small white quail. And she won't be back in town until next week, so we're probably going to push it out another week. But she has ovarian cancer. We met a couple at the river, and they started chatting with us.
It was so bizarre, the way that they were just drawn to us and that everything just clicked. And then like they just vomited pretty much like all these medical issues she's having. Like they were compelled to just, I mean, you don't go around telling everybody you have
Yeah.
cancer,
Yeah.
I remember even whenever we left, I was like, that was so weird. Like they were so just like so friendly, over friendly. But they're sweethearts of people, and they're in our situation that we were in 8 years ago, where their life is struggling and they are living paycheck to paycheck, and her illness makes it even worse. And so we did a wealth right. They came over and did a wealth right.
They came over and hacked the head off their own chicken in my ritual center.
And they have seen amazing results.
Yeah.
I didn't talk to him, so I don't know the details on those results.
I want to get out his personal details, but he was out of work, and since then he has gotten job after job after job.
And this is like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, they're digging themselves out of the hole now. But yeah, they came over, and I had a wealth right to do for a client that night, and they were of course asking me about that's the number one area we need help in other than this cancer. And I'm like, well, I'll tell you what, dude, I'm doing a wealth ritual for somebody later tonight. If you want to stay and watch, and then afterwards, if you got the balls to step in the circle and hack the head off your own sacrifice, then I'll give you a rooster and help you do the ritual for free. And so they did. And they're seeing results from it. So
they're hooked now.
Yeah.
He's watching everything he can get his hands on, and
he's doing his own rituals. He's building his own ritual space, just like mine out behind his house.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, it's awesome to give people the tools to fucking empower themselves.
Oh, for sure. I think at the end of the day, that's what this has come to. You could keep the thing to yourself. I know, like not telling anyone about anything and have your own shit, but it's like, man, that's how society has been. Things have been like this. And I'm such a pusher for, the keys for everyone. And of course, some crazy shit's going to happen with everyone having that, but at least it's of like your own personal doing it instead of this corruption holding you, guiding you to do, what it wants. You might as well have the freedom to destroy yourself, or freedom to liberate yourself and truly take that to, your next level. And that's, I feel like, my biggest thing for myself is obviously continue going forward, doing my workings. I mean, I'm definitely going to already start that animal totem thing. That's, I've already now got a download for my next evolution. But, just continuing, I don't know, just helping the awareness, I'm trying to hit it off with the music, because I think the music industry has such a niche of people that, like, I don't know, it's not being guided in the greatest direction. So I'd rather be the one out there doing corny things. Like, I'm going to actually writing a script for a movie, 45-minute movie. So, like, I can make them be like, this character's cool, relatable, it's funny, but then there's also like this consciousness shift and understanding, because if people have I think they see better, and I don't want to be a role model, because then that's like putting me in a box, but I want to help, like, give them some lens too, to be like, what, let's look at things at a different level and strive for these greater things instead of striving for that numbness. And that's why I feel like society's been shoving down the throat. It's like, what will get you through?
Yeah, well, we have drugs, you have alcohol, then you add in TV. I mean, TV, people sit and that, or video games, that is another drug. Yeah, so I agree with you. Society is going to numbing everyone. Everybody wants to be numb, because then they don't have to actually do any work to grow within themselves.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I agree. And, what you were just talking about, as far as people keeping knowledge for themselves, typically, that's how cults start. You have like one sorcerer or magician, mystic, whatever you want to call them, and they figure out something really cool. They figure out a key to personal power, and then they'll demonstrate it, but they don't really teach it to other people, and they build like a little cult following. All right. And so figuring out something like the rite of deification, I could have kept that all to myself and then started trying to build like a little cult, around this superpower, doing each other. But, fuck that. Then you're just becoming part of the problem, whether you're, especially if you're successful. If you build a new religion or build another cult that fucking brainwashes people and controls people and forces them to worship, whoever the cult leader is or the preacher is, then that's part of the problem. Put that information out for everybody.
Yeah, because then otherwise they're just building just more bullshit, more tyranny, more of that, and yeah.
It's about freedom. It's freedom for all, even including freedom from self. Freedom from the chains that we hold on to our own selves. Freedom from the chains that others put us in, boxes that we're put in. Just with like you were talking about, like this path is about freedom.
I mean, in responsibilities of life, like recently with everything that's gone on, from the coronavirus to, for me, it was switching a job too after 6 years, losing my dad, the virus, and losing someone that was like my sister to me. There was all these things that were such paradigm shifters, hitters, that like made me be like, you know what? Like right now, like I'm excited to be able to in a year move off and go after my dream in a better area, feeling, safer in a location. Like that isolation, being a self-sufficient, but also, not being too far away from cities and all that. That's just shit. Honestly, that's like really that comfortable, good shit, and not being in a city. I don't know. I love people, but I also like could be by my, chilling off, doing my own thing and just getting shit done. That's
all we do. But we have to have the middle of nowhere where we live for the rituals that we do.
You got to have privacy. So, we've been talking about relocating.
We were actually talking about that right before you called.
Yeah, like right before you called, and we're just like, well, we could really, now that I do this full time and only this, like,
that's awesome, man.
We could move anywhere, because before I had a day job that was tying me here. It was a really good job. I didn't want to walk away from that, but whenever COVID hit, they shut down. So I got laid off, and then this business exploded for me. So they're begging me to come back right now, and I'm like, no, dude, I'm doing so much better working for myself. We're so much happier, and we can move anywhere. We're not tied down. So I mean, as long as we had privacy to do the work that I do, then we could go anywhere. We're probably going to do that.
Yeah, we got to talk about it more, but that's exciting. never had. Most adults don't have that opportunity in their lifetime to
Yeah.
just move wherever they want to.
Yeah, it's freedom.
So
Freedom to go anywhere because we're self-employed.
it's a little crazy.
So that's awesome. We don't really know what to do with it yet. We're like,
we're
man.
both like, I don't know.
But that is like, that's a dream come true, like in that sense. And that's, so with my job right now, I'm just not gonna say it because I'm on live chat, but whatever the case, not live chat, but who gives a shit? It's kind of goose. I can relocate with that job and go different places, but I definitely am pushing towards that self-sufficiency, like, and then I want a lot of land, and I'd like to have a mini house, like one of those mini ones,
Yeah.
and then it's also connected with the internet. And then being able to have like a chicken coop, do whatever I want, as well as, a little farm thing. I just feel like comfortability, being able to do that, that's kind of go anywhere, plus closer to the beach. Because I've been stuck in Indiana my whole life. So it's pretty flat land and a lot of corn. I mean, that's corny, but then there's also a lot of corn everywhere. So. Yeah, but it's awesome though. Like after this year, I've never had that mind state because I always thought about what about the friends, what about this family, what about this and that. But after COVID hit, it really kind of just flipped a switch of like the unlimited potential that can happen. And that I mean that's awesome, especially if you guys are having a family, being able to go do whatever you want to do. Like I'm just a lone pirate out here, like I just got my gold and I can go do whatever, but I've been feeling tied down for the moment. But like in a year, I'll feel like, all right, I got enough gold and I can go move to another city, but it is awesome and it's exciting as hell. Like looking at houses, looking at everything, like what you really want and be able to do that. Like I know it's been a lot of hard work and congratulations. Like that is super badass. I'm happy that's paid off.
Yeah, we do work our butts off.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's all day, every day, 7 days a week, most of the time.
There's always something
always
to do,
recovering
man.
from the night before. Yeah, it's exhausting, but it's so
It's a
worth
lot
it.
of fun too, though.
Yeah, we're doing
We really
what we
enjoy
love.
it. Like I wouldn't do anything else. Like if you said, what if you could do anything you wanted for a living, like what would it be? I'd be like, what I'm doing right now. This is what makes me happy. So fuck.
And plus, you guys get to do it as a team. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like
because I never would have thought that we would get along so well. It's actually made our marriage a lot better.
Yeah.
I think most couples, it'll make or break you, I guess, especially being COVID, stuck at home through the whole COVID isolation thing, him not working anymore, our child is homeschooling again. Like our little unit is super freaking tight and everybody is really stinking happy right now.
Yeah, definitely that make and break, and especially on a spiritual level. Like when you grow with that, like that's the one thing that it never worked with me and multiple women because of that. You not hitting that spiritual level, and like anytime I worked with a spirit towards that, the only one that ever worked is when I said, "Can I just whatever the best one is, bring it to me," and like I'm just gonna keep growing and like not choose a certain person because then you'd isolate that person. You're putting them on a pedestal. And these realities have come the life saying like it's not gonna work, that's not gonna work, and like once you do be able to have that partner where it's on that spiritual as well as the physical, and being able to actually care about that growth, that is fucking awesome, and like that's I don't know, it's something to look up to. Like I'm happy there's someone I'm gonna relocate to and be closer to, and I'm excited because I can grow on that type of level with them, and I'm like, hell yeah! Like being able to do a ritual together, or even like have those intellectual, like someone that you can talk to and have that grounding feeling, as well as like push to grow. Like, yeah, let's test that out. Like, let's go for it. And that's the shit that makes you go the distance. That's like Napoleon Hill in his books, like having people at your side to push you forward. That's the type of shit you need. And like, I just can't wait to see what awesome stuff you guys have already done. Awesome stuff, and it like gets me fired up to keep doing the shit I'm doing. And I know I'm helping bring shit to the world too, and I'm happy as hell to be doing that. Like I want to be a part of the damn change. So I know once again, like awesome. I appreciate it. Like even the Santa Lock, I didn't know that you could get alcohol and then light that on fire and have a fire going, and it was the coolest experience.
Now, because of the COVID, we can't even find alcohol.
Yes, yeah, we're having to. Well, we found some like liquid hand sanitizer that's mostly
It's
alcohol.
like
That's
85%,
we're like using that right
80%.
now, but yeah, or like Golden Grain, you can buy at the liquor store. It produces smokeless fire, so you can burn it inside. So you can use your flame as a manifestation base, and you can actually set up and do a rite of deification in your living room using like a cauldron with rubbing alcohol for the fire base. And you spill the
That's what we
blood,
do.
you evoke the spirit through that flame and spill the blood into the cauldron, and it all burns up. Now, the only drawback is you can't incinerate the body of the sacrifice without smoking out your house. So you got to eat it. You just use like a quail or a dove or a small chicken or something, and you cook it and eat it afterwards.
But
So
you can use those
yeah,
implements like the wings, and you can keep the
yeah.
bones and the feet. You could use those implements in your other rituals. It could become, useful for those.
Yeah.
And that's, I think that once I have that new place, I'm definitely going to get your guys' right, like to watch and then be able to do it, because that sounds like you can just take things to the next level, especially just empowering. Like I can do evocations and stuff like where I'm at right now, but I like doing that. My backyard is a highway, and don't get me wrong, I did the Santa Lock thing right there in the day where people are driving by, and I had this pan on fire in my backyard sitting there with the candles and then the rum. Like it felt super cool, and like you can feel the energy like vibrate inside, and like just I remember how afraid I was the first time doing anything, but now it is kind of just it's so invigorating. It's almost like, jumping out of a plane with a parachute. It's like, here we fucking go. Like, let's see what happens. And like with that, like it gave me this idea of the place where I wanted to move to, and other things that have kind of transpired. And it's just, I don't know, it's crazy how all this stuff kind of works and comes together how it does. And I just don't know how it's so hidden, like is this how is this knowledge so hidden? How's it been hidden for so long? And like I don't know, I'm just blown away. I'm really blown away.
It's still cloaked in the information that we find it in. Like JS will pull stuff out, and I will have read the description of the entity and I don't even see it, but he's like with Suntalak, he created the Infernal Empire. So if he could create the Infernal Empire, then he can create empires for us, so for him to I don't know, he's brilliant that way. He sees things completely different.
I just try to understand the mechanics of how things work in relation to magic, as well as dealing with spirits. So I mean, if a spirit has the power of creation, then they can do all kinds of things. They can heal illnesses. They can remove curses. They can, and it says in his description, he can help you build your own personal empire. But a spirit that is that powerful can do so many things, like so many other things that you wouldn't think of just by reading the plain, description of it. And I'll read through a book, and it'll be like 90% bullshit or just 90% filler. And I'll find the one little thing, the one little technique or piece of information that's encoded in there, and extract that and incorporate it into my own rituals. So I mean, it's about studying a little bit of everything and as much as possible, and finding like the meat and potatoes, finding the gold within a system, and shit canning the rest of the bullshit.
Now, have you worked with Hindu pantheon at all, or anything along that lines? Because
Worked with Kali.
Kali, okay, yeah, I did the bead thing when I was working with Belial and Astarte, and I do our 128 Kali Ma, and that was such a dark. I look back at my life, I'm like, damn, dude, shadow work. Yeah, was it for shadow work or was it for?
It was for destruction.
Oh, okay, yeah, no bullshit. Shaboom, damn, yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
she's badass. Especially if I'm like working against like a rapist or something like that. Like I will evoke feminine war goddesses. I'll evoke Astarte, the goddess of love and war. I'll evoke Kali, Kali Ma, destroyer of worlds. I'll evoke Pumbagira, like entities like that are like these really ferocious feminine deities that really don't appreciate sex offenders at all. And yeah, we get good results with those.
That's awesome. That's super badass. That's being able to kind of like that Death Note, finding out the bad characters and getting rid of them. I mean, I do see the light though, coming down with everything that's going on in the world. Like that shit's coming out of the closet, and I don't know. That is really awesome to finally see kind of the truth, and like when you're seeing Revelation, seeing everything out in front of us. And I used to think it'd be the world would be crumbling, with the Christian paradigm, but now I see it as, yeah, that paradigm gets crushed because you're getting relief, you're getting that light to be able to see all the greatness that lies ahead into the golden age. And there was something you said about, like, we are right now like building the foundation to the bit, like the future from like 1,000 years from now, like some huge movement like that. And now, do you think it's like our generation we're gonna have? So we kind of already do feel like have the technology to be able to be alive for that type of that long, or do you think that's it would just be like 100 years we die, and then 100 years and 1,000 years, or it's possible that we will be able to live that long in the bodies we have right now? I know that kind of sounds a little wild, but yeah, what's your thoughts about that?
Okay, so I think it's already possible. Like I think they already have that knowledge and technology. It's just the elites are never going to share it with us. They need us to die. Okay, they need
Yeah.
us to die right after we retire, so that the government doesn't have to take care of us. And so we work our asses off and pay taxes and do manual labor and whatever other type of servitude that they're involved in just to survive. And then people die right after they retire. You develop an awful disease at age 60 and you're lucky to make it to
Cancer.
75.
Yeah.
So but
Dementia.
but no, I mean, like, there's a lot of pictures from like the 1800s of different famous celebrities, like Nick Cage and Matthew McConaughey, Jay-Z, like all these guys, Keanu Reeves, he actually is a spitting image of Emperor Charlemagne. Like the paintings of Charlemagne look identical to Keanu Reeves. And then there's other paintings throughout history that look identical to him of other famous figures. And now he's a famous actor, even though he's not a very good actor. I mean, look at Keanu Reeves' acting. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
He's still making, like John Wick and other top-notch movies. So it's like, there's all these theories. People are like, oh, they're vampires, they're robots, they're immortal, they're pagan gods that went to being celebrities when we stopped worshiping them, so that we're still kind of worshiping them, but
Holy shit.
yeah, I think that they can already like regenerate people. And in order to get that knowledge for us little people, we're gonna have to overthrow some shit. And we're gonna have to take that knowledge and take what's rightfully ours. And we're gonna have to do it peacefully because we don't have drones and weaponized plagues. So black magic is the ultimate sword that we can start wielding right now, collectively and individually, to overcome slavery.
Damn. And that's so like that statement right there, first off, that's a mission statement. Goddamn. Put that on my wall over here. Because I mean that's what I'm saying. Like building people's awareness and that, I think that's the biggest thing that is needed to happen in the civilization of all of humanity. Like I feel like that's the biggest mission, and that's also why I kind of have stepped towards in this, because I know that they've done stuff in the music industry, so I might as well go full blown in with the sight of let me expose what is. And if I'm in alliance with all my friends on the astral realm, then I'm going to be able to do it. Otherwise something could come, someone could try and do something and make an issue. But if you have an alliance, especially the master key, like once again, that master key, holy shit, every right I implement that in some way. Like that is just like the bonus on top of, like, it's already going to be amazing because it's just so universal. Like honestly, I've now told so many people about it and they still haven't done anything, and I'm like, all you got to do is do it once. God dang. But yeah, to really have that empowering and make those things happen, like I'm thankful as shit I was able to do it and be able to increase, not only my money, but become a sharper individual, be able to go through all these, build my endurance, as well as, hit other levels of learning. Like magic isn't just about getting a thing you desire. It's about that process of learning. And God dang, will you be taught some things? I mean, yeah, I'm not afraid to lose, my job or whatever, but it's also like you got to stay sharp, keeping you on your stuff, and then seeing like what toxic. Like I was doing sober October, and I got on day 10, and I just was like, I'm just gonna hit some of this. This shit's so good, and then I was like, holy shit, man! Like, oh my gosh, like I had the perception of what happens when you do it too much, like or like if this becomes you could become dependent. And there was a point it was like day 7, I got one of those like little vapor e-cigs and just like had it for 2 days and then threw it away. And I was like, man, it's just crazy, so many things that could just be programmed from like just a habitual patterns. Or can your life in 10 years be the same shit if you don't make that difference and change? And I don't know. It was cool. I'm going to be back on it tomorrow. That's for sure. Sobriety. But I was like, all right, y'all. You can't be too upset. But it is crazy, like the opiates and all that. Lots of people, in my life I've seen stuck on that, and and it'd be too much for me to say, hey, can we try this ritual? Like maybe it can help you get over that, and like those divine moments, like with what you guys have with those people, and how she like, threw up, I told you all those things, and be able to do that. Plus, it helps test your own experiment and like be able to see what works, doesn't work, and then be able to tell that to people.
Yeah.
But
We'll record that.
Yeah, we're gonna document it.
We're documenting the curse for cancer.
That's God dang, that's awesome. Did you already get on Coast to Coast? Or
yeah, I was on there a few months ago. We didn't talk about the curse for cancer or anything, but yeah, that was really cool. To go on there, that was like a moment of accomplishment for me because I've always been a fan of Coast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. As far as this curse for cancer, like it's a total experiment. It's a first time experiment. I've conjured tumors off of people before. I've even helped rid a woman of a cancerous brain tumor remotely. But as far as doing this particular ritual in person, this will be the first time. And so we're going to document it. And if it works, we're going to give it out for free. Like I'm going to put it on YouTube. Like, hey, this is how you fucking cure cancer. Go for it. And if anybody wants to use it, then the tools are there for them.
Man, that's badass. Man, that is so fucking. I don't know. That's crazy at that in this day and age. These things are now coming out, and like you guys are being able to rock and roll that. Like I've done exorcisms and other things along those lines, but like to do working on that level of the healing, I guess I've not had that conversation necessarily because sometimes I feel like it's gonna just break. You know what I mean? Like it has to be that divine thing where someone's ready, not. Because then, just like an exorcism or something, if someone's not ready for that, or they're not actually wanting to get rid of something they have, because I've had that case, then it's kind of just like, you're kind of going against the current of energy. And like, that's just, you have to be in that right energy and that right power up to make it, pop off. But,
make the decision for someone else. They have to be, for like giving up, there's certain things they have to be willing to be okay with. And so we have noticed that as soon as he has a ritual that he's kind of, it may not even be fully formed, and he'll have an idea that within a few weeks to a few months, somebody will come to us that we probably don't even know. Most of them have been people we don't even know. We've met them by circumstance. And they'll have exactly the situation that he's been thinking of for months. Like he manifests these people into his reality. It's been a lot of them that way.
It'd be a random person that you bump into at a party or a grocery store. And they get this glazed over look on their face. They look like they're in a trance. And they just sit there and tell you, the most intimate, personal shit that's wrong with them. And I'll just sit there and I'll listen to them, and I'll sometimes I'll start shaking while this is happening. And afterwards I'm like, okay, so I'm a total stranger. Why do you feel like you told me all that? That's kind of personal and embarrassing. They're like, I don't know why I told you that. I'm like, well, just so happens that I practice this alternative method of healing, and if you're up for an experiment, I'd love to try to help you. And if they take me up on it, which they almost always do, then it's been successful each time. So yeah, I mean, you just got to nut up and do it, man. If you know somebody, you love somebody, you got a friend that's suffering from a disease or an illness, commune with Raphael and ask him how to fix it. And he'll tell you, and then you'll do the ritual and it'll work.
Damn, that is a total fact. You know, I should I'm going to be even more open towards that, and even with my own self doing more things. Like sometimes, you know, like my throat hurt for that whole week, but it helped me also have a different perception of things. And I was like, dang, I can't believe now my chest is on fire and my lungs hurt for a couple of days. Like that's awesome because that right there is showing something's, you know, happening and working, and those realities are there. And it's just a part of it. It's just another part to add to the journal of bringing a thing, you know, from nothing to something, doing the alchemy all the time, which that's huge with it. I have a couple questions I definitely wrote down because
All right.
your guys is awesome. Awesome watching all your guys' work and being able to bounce stuff off.
Thank you.
Seriously. Well, Santa Lock, actually, we'll do this one first. So talking about like when you pass away, like, so for instance, I was a Catholic for a long time, and then, you know, I thought I was going to do this judgment, this, that, and the other, and different paradigms versus like when you guys would pass away or something, like you guys building an astral temple together, and or whatever it may be, you know, like someone might go to their heaven, their hell, or, you know, whatever paradigm they're in, they go down to Hades or whatever the case is. I just want to kind of hear your thoughts on that, and I guess if you were to build an astral temple, because I've had an imagination where I go on multiple lands, but how would you cross that over, or what would you work with to be able to make that crossover with another individual to be in that same place? I don't know if that's a loaded, if that question made any sense, but yeah.
It's a theoretical answer, you know, and a theoretical question. Like obviously we can't prove it and we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
I think that people's belief system has a big part to play in what happens to them when they die. So that's why I've got, like I was saying, like all Christians go to hell. It's like a funny joke because they all believe in this hell and they all believe that they're sinners. And deep down, they know they've done things that are bad and that they get punished for. So that's what they end up doing in the afterlife is going.
Yeah.
So this own little hell that they've created for themselves. And so the same thing goes with heaven, or reincarnation or things like that. So I mean, we are working on building our own heaven in the afterlife, you know, a construction of our own reality on the astral realm that's going to be just like one big drug infested orgy, you know. You know, of course, we want to have our pets and stuff there too, and, you know, things that make us happy. But now, as far as working on that, I think, for instance, like you're saying, building your astral temple, that's got to be a big part of it, the visualization and things like that. And you could even work with certain spirits, I imagine, to help you construct that afterlife for yourself. And, you know, maybe we don't have a choice. Maybe we get reincarnated over and over a certain amount of times until we reach a certain level of spiritual development. And then we move on to the next, like, fourth level density, like the next.
Yeah.
You know, they say that like guys like Genghis Khan and Spartacus and Vlad the Impaler and even Jesus Christ is an example of someone who ascended to godhood after death, ascended to fourth level density, and was raised from the dead. So you know, and you know, they still worship Jesus today. So I mean, I would say that yeah, he through this religion, if he was a real person or whatever person that was based on, that legend, has truly achieved a level of godhood on the next level, the next plane of existence. So yeah, man, we could theorize about this all fucking day.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have anything to add?
Your question of how you make sure you go with that person, again, theory.
Yeah.
But we have bound ourselves together. So that, and we create our temple together. We do lots of visualization. We talk about it. So I hope that is enough. And if we reincarnate, I hope that binding will bring us to the next reincarnation together. I think we've done this many times before. So I think we've been bound together for many lifetimes. Now, where we go next, we shall see.
Yeah, maybe it will be that drunken filled sex orgy temple.
That's our that is our goal.
That's awesome. That's actually super badass. Yeah, because I mean, I used to be. That was always my biggest concern was hell, all that shit, working with these spirits and all that, and then I came to that realization where the reality we're living in every day, you could be living in hell, making your every single day hell for yourself, or you could be living in a heaven, and then it's like, what are we manifesting here? And it starts from what's going on in here, and that's the shit. Like biting that bullet to figure out your shadow side, figure out that shit, and really then take care of it instead of just keep building it and throwing it underneath the rug. And that was something I found out huge for myself. Like I would do all these things inside of the Catholic church, whether that be teaching kids or helping out with the teens or going inside of adult groups. And yeah, I just always felt this hate towards myself and like non-fulfillment. And like, if I'm doing this, then why can't I find the perfect person? Blah 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 blah. Woe is me, woe is me. Hate yourself, get to confession. It's like versus taking the empowerment where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna just keep pushing on, figure out this shit, understand myself, and then really have to face that, and then also realize all the other shit's been bullshit all these years, and I guess that is kind of a bitch, honestly, to go through. But
that's why Christians love their God. They can blame everything on him, good, bad, indifferent. It's why didn't you give me this? Why? Yeah, or yes, and blame it on another entity. They are the reason for all the evil. No, those evil people are the reason for all the evil. But we don't have to take responsibility for it in the dogma religion.
Yeah, that's it. They don't have to take responsibility for anything. Okay, because if something bad happens, then it's God's will, and you need to pray your way out of it. And if your prayers are not answered, then it was God's will, or it was the devil's fault that happened. I mean, it's like the biggest thing about this path working, practicing magic, becoming your own living God. It's about taking responsibility for everything in your reality, because you realize we're creating our reality so we can make it heaven or hell. And we might be born into a shitty situation. We might be born with some kind of disability or into a fucked up family and abusive childhood. But ultimately, you can overcome that shit using black magic. So yeah, that's what we are doing for ourselves as well as our children, because we both come from nothing, shitty childhoods, and it'd be really easy to keep repeating that cycle like every other member of our family has. But we're breaking that chain with ourselves and our own children by taking responsibility for it.
Our grandchildren will have much better lives than our children have, and their children will have better lives than my grandchildren. And that's what it's all about, is teaching our kids how to do this now 20 years earlier than us, so they can feel comfortable to raise their children in it from the time they're born.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, because at my age, I'm 27 right now. And I mean, there's lots of points in my life where I felt like I was the adult in the situation, and seeing what happens if there's not full communication, whether that's inner family or, like the uncles and aunts or outer family, whatever the case is, when there's not full communication and the truth or something gets swept underneath the rug, and like kind of just seeing like what it really takes to have a good foundation for, family as well as your spiritual self, where it's like, we're actually going forward, growing to push, not being stuck in that 9-to-5 mind state, not be stuck inside of that, oh, we need this and that, or I'm going to be programmed from the TV. Really taking those steps to get outside of that and then just keep applying like that. That is what that's what the dream is, that's coming actually awake outside of the dream, to be honest. And, yeah, for your kids and to go forth in that, like, there's been a lot of, is the world going to come to an end? I don't think any of that shit, but I do think shit can get a little bit roller coaster like, and so you might as well be prepared. And I don't think it's going to be horrible for another couple of years, but that is also my intuition, where it's like I want to be able to know I can be self-sufficient, because like even hunting and or using like a sword or something. Not saying I'm gonna go hunt a bear with a sword, but like it might make a good movie.
Done that with deer, and he did do that one year.
After a bear with a sword one year.
Well, our dog went missing, and he tracked our dog to the bear's lair. So he waited for that bear. If that bear would have came back, we would either have a bear skin rug or he'd be dead.
I was so upset about this dog that I was gonna die fighting this fucking bear with a sword.
That was his baby.
Yeah, fucking bear ate my dog, and I went after it with a sword. Now, I didn't catch him, and he didn't come to me for a fight, but I was.
He was scared, dude. He was scared.
Like, man, what a dumbass! It could have been like a 700-800-pound bear. I'm sitting out there with a fucking sword. Like even if I would have got his ass, he would have got my ass too. So, I wasn't being rational, but I was dumb enough to do it.
No, but you know what? That's pretty damn cool. Okay, your grandkids now get to know that you would have fought a bear with a sword. Like, not many motherfuckers get to say that, even about an intruder, if someone's gonna be running. Like, I'm like, nah, if some shit happens, like, I like to be joyful and positive and good, but there is a shadow side where it's like, I've had some crazy shit go on in my life, and I've had to flip that switch. And I'm not afraid to flip the switch because I know I'm a part here to make a change for civilization. I really believe it and feel it. And it's like, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I accomplish that, whatever the cost is, and I don't know, feeling that now too, it makes me even more inspired. And I know God has to, add that fire to your guys' life too, like feeling that calling and actually being able to make that dream come to reality. And I know it's going to take me a little bit longer to get all my stuff on a float, especially in the music industry. They wouldn't let me promote my eco-conscious songs because it could sway votes. Like they about almost didn't even want me online with it. And I was like, damn, like this is crazy shit. Like I was dressed up as a pirate in front of a green screen having a ridiculous song. And they're like, whoa, you might make people swing their votes. I'm like, your guys' television is trying to swing votes. Like, not me talking about let's just not use as much plastic. Like, that's cool, guys. Like, just trying to bring the conscious awareness. Like, all right, let's try to cut something back. And they're over there like, oh, we don't know. But I might be able to do something, but I have to sign these papers. And I'm just blown away. Like, that I'm getting flack for, but let's go talk about getting fucked up and hating life. We can promote that. And I'm like, shit. That's a little bit back, but that's fine. Sometimes you gotta go against the current, like my sound didn't work, of course, and I spent like 2 hours trying to make it so I could also get people, involved with their questions and all that. And, sometimes you just kind of gotta go with the flow on things, whether it's not the flow, but that right wave does happen when it's supposed to happen. And, like with Santa Lock, I did the thing probably a day after you guys brought out that video. And, it's not that a ton of things have necessarily occurred. It's more of this internal shift I've had. And I know that that's like what it's all about. And like, I mean, I encourage anyone that's like watching this to look into that, like without a doubt. Like that's another level of change that you can do inside of your own life to start building forward, Like I don't have this fear necessarily of how's it gonna happen. It's just stay on target, keep going, and don't have that fear internally anymore. And even like I said, like I had this thing in my mouth it's really not bad at all, but it's just like a little inflated. And like I just did this one prayer to Raphael and immediately like felt this anxiety go away. And I don't know. It's just it's so simple, yet it's there's intent to it. But it's something so simple to make such an adjustment in your everyday. Like even do you both meditate daily or anything along those lines?
I do for about 10 minutes when I first wake up every morning.
Yeah, I do it either before I go to sleep or before I wake up.
Okay.
It's always been, even since I was a child, that is how I would do it. I would lay in bed and manifest things. Back before I knew that I was doing magic. Yeah, that's how I did it. So it's always been the thing for me.
Yeah, that this year is the first year actually every single morning since the beginning of the year I pull out the evocation circle and I sit in it and then I just meditate for at least 15 minutes. But that's crazy that so much of a shift can happen within 10 to 15 minutes versus waking up running right to the grindstone. I saw with my own life I was more grounded in all situations and I didn't have as many. I give gratitude first thing in the morning, and I think that word right there is the key to a long life full of joy. Like really soaking that in, and
Like
but yeah,
you take gratitude as a huge talking point. Even if you take mundane people, in any typical relationship, and even a toxic one, if those two people just start being grateful for the things that they bring into each other's lives, the entire relationship will switch around because gratitude is that important. You see your entire life from a different perspective, and it's always a joyful, happy one. Yeah, so I just wanted to make that point because that is a big deal for people. If you're not paying gratitude towards making your life happy, healthy, and wealthy, that's where you start.
yeah, and because that just already overarches the whole entire theme of the day. And then to keep it on that, and I've been doing some Hindu mantras, like I've been working with Ganesh, like to get rid of blockages. So like if I go through my day and something is irritating me in any way, I just either listen to it or start saying it myself. And sometimes I like listening to it because I'm like 3 hours, let's just listen to the same thing over and over and kind of get inside that mode. But even those vibrations or those frequencies when you're connecting to spirits, calling them forth, and like you're bringing that elevation to like the reality of everything is vibration and how simple it is to call it forth. I mean, there's a science behind all of it too. It's not just a bunch of mumbo jumbo
No.
bullshit. And just uh, I'm sorry, I was just gonna say, yeah, just those vibration, just saying something positive, that's gonna be positive vibration for you.
Yeah, I mean, every time when we speak, we're speaking our reality into existence anyway. So if all you're doing is bitching and complaining, then you're just manifesting more bad shit in your life. And you guys were talking about gratitude. I mean, like fuck the movie The Secret talks about that, like the law of attraction.
Yeah.
There's that saying, he who has gratitude for what they have will be given more, and those who do not have gratitude will lose all that they have. And that's really coming down to what you're manifesting. If like part of what I would do every day when I would drive to work back when I was still working is I would go down the list from the time I would leave my house. I would just be saying thank you for my beautiful wife, thank you for my beautiful daughter, thank you for my good high paying job, my physical health. I'd name off everything good in my life that I was grateful for. I'd just be saying thank you, just to the universe, to just to the matrix, I guess.
Yeah.
Focusing on manifesting more good things, and it works. It takes a little bit of time, and it's hard to adjust your way of thinking to an attitude of gratitude when you've been negative your entire life.
It's so
like it's hard to make that switch.
Yeah.
You start seeing things happen, then it gets easier and easier and easier. And then you can start manifesting shit just with your mind, just for the fun of it. Like, hey, I'm going to manifest this. And so you just visualize it and think about it like you already have it, and you're attracting that too. It's the law of attraction. And that's a big part of what we're doing when we cast spells. It's like we're enhancing that law of attraction. We're giving it a shot of steroids. It's cheat codes for the Matrix. We're in a fucking video game, and black magic spells are like cheat codes for that video game.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is like, so as a kid, I'd always try and find the cheat codes for all the games. Like that's always been, or inside of the class. Hey, I don't even really have to try if I just become friends with this person next to me, because then we can, I'll make them laugh. I can look at the paper. Always kind of find the cheat codes, and really like that's when I started looking into ancient religions and all those other things. It started opening my mind and then seeing magic, and it's like the reality of seeing the truth of what reality is the cheat code. That's the way of it. And then understanding that, then you can try to be not try to be, fuck that word, be the programmer and make that typed in there. And that's the craziest part about the shaman, in society. Like, in one sense, yeah, it's kind of crazy you might feel isolated, but thank God we have the internet. That communication, as well as being able to, tell other people about things you're experiencing and then be able to bounce that back and forth. I mean, otherwise, like, I don't know, like, I'm so thankful I'm able to, not only that you've seen this, but being able to, have conversation with you, and now being able to have this conversation, like, many things have transpired and come about, and it's so great. And now, like, I'm actually super stoked to be working on a totem. I think now my next step is going to be like building like a 5-layer pillar of a totem of the first 5 animals I need to. So already got, the ravens, and I got the vultures already added on there, and seeing what other animals. And I mean, that's crazy shit. Like,
They'll come to you.
Yeah.
And they will get more and more in your face about it if you don't do something about it. Like that vulture almost hitting your car. We've had multiple birds fly into our car. So you
I had a vulture fly through my headlight.
oh no!
Carrying a rat fly into the grill of our truck. We've had a dove fly into the grill of our truck. Was that it?
No.
We've had other birds come
okay.
down and go right in front of our vehicle for long periods of time.
So check it out. Like, I've been working with the cardinal, all right? Like, trying to make allies with that bird. Like, that is like pure, raw, universal spiritual power. You can use what they call cardinal medicine to enhance any magical working like 100 times over. It's just raw, universal power. And so I've been working with the spirit. And I leave work early one day. Like, I got done early, or we ended up not doing a project. And so it like never happened. I left right after lunchtime, and I pull out of my place of work. I get accelerated up to like 45, 50 miles an hour. And then this fucking red cardinal flies from the left side of the road and then takes a hard right turn right into my windshield. So I stop. I get out, I pick up the bird, he's still alive, and he's like shaking and he dies in my hands.
Aww.
I was just like, oh, why? Why would you do that? Why would you mean, you flew into my truck like intentionally. Why? That's what I was asking. And this little voice said, I did it for you. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, okay, well, thank you. I didn't know what it meant. So I'm like, got this bird in my lap as I'm driving home again, like 5 minutes later. And I come up on this like 5-car pileup that was just right down the road, and I'm like, man, and the ambulance was just starting to pull up whenever I got there, and I'm like, would I have been in that accident if that bird hadn't flown in my window and made me stop? Like, probably. Like, that's what I think. It saved my ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, really crazy shit like that'll happen. And with the vulture, dude, we've got a sigil for the vulture and his actual name, which is, she said it earlier, Margol. And it's a really beautiful sigil. I'll send you.
Oh, please do. Yeah, I'll definitely, I'll be hitting him up for sure. And I know the Raven, those are two, because every time it doesn't matter where I'm at, like when I start thinking about the Watchers and stuff, or there's two people in my life who remind me of like kind of the same soul tribe. Every time I'm like thinking of that or the Watchers, these 3 ravens, it's always 3 huge, fly like from wherever I'm at, and like I'm all over town all the time, and it's just these 3 that come out of nowhere. And today when the vulture flies right in front, and then there's 3 that come over there, I was like, this is literally a video game, like what you're saying. Like, and that's when it gets trippy, is when that type of stuff happens. I mean, even something as significant as like today, I was supposed to be back on keeping my Sober October rolling, and I didn't do it. And right after I didn't do it, I ended up tripping and hitting my hand into something. And I looked and I started laughing, because I'm like, okay, I get it, universe. Like, I have to keep my word on my stuff. And tomorrow I'm right back on board. We're good. But, just like those type of things, instead of like hitting yourself or getting stopped at a stop sign, being like, God damn, why is this happening? This, like when you're all roughed up, it's like, dang, that's when you're not even going to observe the blessings that are right in front of you and bringing that to you. And that's crazy.
There's always a reason.
There is always. That's why, I mean, I live inside of, Indiana, and it's corny. Well, it's also really corny out here. Hey, thanks, Carney. God dang. All right, I'll just ask you guys a couple more. I appreciate you guys, your time and everything else too.
Oh,
'Cause
it's
I
a
know you're
blast.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah, we
we're having
love
fun.
that.
Hey, awesome, awesome. Now the reverse baptism. I know you talked about destroying the Bible, and I ended up doing that. It was a Bible that I actually. So when I got really inside, evolved into my spiritual practice, was I was like a senior in high school, sitting on the couch, and I heard. Like I was like, what should I do? I was all worried about just do dumb shit, and I heard Ephesians 4:17 be whispered in my ear. So I ran upstairs and grabbed the Bible and I read it. It said like, do not walk as the Gentiles do in the futility of their minds, having their understanding darkened, and it went on this like little thing, but that ended up like inspiring me to get really involved with it. And then actually like 2 years in, one time I got this new cross necklace, and I wanted to read that over it like as a blessing, and I didn't bring my Bible. And I saw this Bible on a podium, so I just grabbed it and I go there, and there's a bookmark, and I flip it open, and it's on Ephesians 4:17. I was like, holy shit! And I mean, those like right there. It's about being spiritual, having that spiritual vision to see what it is, not saying it's this dogma bringing this to me. And I think lots of people are caught in that too. But no, I digress on that. But the Bible was so significant because it did that to me. But I remember I got to a point, I was like 23, and I ended up burning it, and I might have even pissed on it too. I was just like, I got to that point. I know I can't believe it, but I was like, oh, what do I have to do to make workings work? And I mean, the working didn't work. It was a Salos, and every single time I asked his help with a girl, he was like, dude, better yourself, dude. Like that's all. Like, quit asking me for help with someone. If you better yourself and love yourself, you're good to go. And I would always be all mad at him, but I was just happy because he reminds me of an uncle. But I remember burning that, but that did do something to me because it had such a significant value. And I know you were afraid, that not afraid, but that intense energy of Belial. And yeah, I just kind of want to hear your guys' thoughts. I know you talked about it a few times, but I'd just love to hear that on why do you think that has such an intense part in like causing fear with these energies? Because like I do feel like it's a lot of empowerment of our society for that dogmatic practice of Christianity. So I think that has a lot of power into it, which is why. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on that, both of you, please.
We actually just wrote for the Compendium of Satan, these exact things. And there's a lot that goes. My brain just went completely blank. There's a lot that goes into why I was so scared, or why those energies were so completely separate. And it's that fear of hell, like you were talking about. Like I talk about this in that Satan Compendium. Like that was the only fear I really had. Have you ever been around someone and your energies just were polar opposite? Like you couldn't be near that person. Otherwise, it almost made you feel sick to your stomach.
Yeah.
That is how it felt every time he would start to call in Belial. Like I would have so much anxiety. And I think it came back to the fear of going to hell because, you're calling on Satan, you're calling on Belial. Those are two very well-known names throughout the Bible that you're taught even as a tiny kid in Sunday school to be afraid of. Don't ever contact these entities. Don't ever, you'll be selling your soul to them. They're tricksters. They're going to do something bad to you. And it wasn't a conscious decision of mine whenever he would be going to work with Belial. And I would be like, okay, I'm out, like I can't do this. But looking back on it, I believe that was the situation. So whenever I unplugged from that and I desecrated that Bible, and when you guys see that video, I cried the entire time. Like it almost makes me want to cry again, just talking about it. It was so intense that I was unplugging. I don't know if a lot of people will do it. I think there would be more people that would turn the other way and go back to the dogma religion than to just do an act of blasphemy. So I applaud you for pissing on your Bible and because that was so hard. Like Orly Stewart and JD Temple were on the computer, and they said it was one of the most intense rituals they have ever seen, the reaction that I had. I shake the entire time. I cry, but I am strong because I knew that if I didn't do it, where would my life go? I was already halfway in. I couldn't turn around and run backwards.
Yeah.
I could have been fucked. So I had to push through and, pull up my big girl panties and make it happen. And so I did.
And that's
that.
I can elaborate on why the fear, terror, and confusion sets in for people who have been baptized whenever they try to make contact with an entity like Satan or Belial, or do other types of magic too. Because people tell me, I want to do ritual, I try to do ritual, and as soon as I start setting up for it, I get like all this confusion and anxiety, and I just feel attacked, and so I'll just quit and go watch TV and unplug. And what it is a baptism is a ritual. It's an occult ritual developed by the Catholic priesthood to deed a person's soul over to the Christian God. All right, and so they are deeding that child's soul over to that God, like a living sacrifice whenever they are baptizing them. All right, and so this allows those entities of order and control to have control over you. All right, so whenever you try to do something to break away from that, they will attack you with confusion and anxiety, ritual resistance, and things like that to prevent you from ever harnessing your own personal power. Because they don't want you to be a wolf; they want you to be a sheep. And what Satan and Belial do is turn sheep into wolves. And in order to break it's spiritual bondage. It's like literal spiritual chains wrapped around your soul that will prevent you from tapping into your personal power because of that. So what you're doing with the reverse baptism is you're breaking those chains. You are reclaiming your soul as your own. And once you do that, then it is no longer owned by anyone but you. And then you will no longer experience the fear, anxiety, terror, and resistance and confusion whenever you try to do something that is personally empowering.
It's the best self-love ritual you can do because you are truly claiming yourself for yourself because you have been deeded to something else for forever. And I think that's the numbness that we all need to whenever you're in this, like what society is trying to fill or to numb is that we're really being called to something different. And yet everything in society pushes you the other way.
Yeah, and that is the absolute, like even today I was having a discussion. I went out to dinner with my mom and I was telling her kind of about a few things and she's like, I'd just rather kind of stay in the flow of it, like even discussing like the origins of Christianity and like that God. It's like, I'd rather not get any more involved. Let's just stop right now, like if people just want to stay in that. And that's also when it comes down to, you can't take the horse and make them drink, It's only if they're ready for that empowerment. And I can see why that fear would be there. I mean, I remember if it wasn't for me going to, the church about 4 or 5 times a week at 3 o'clock in the morning, begging and begging for something over and over and nothing to come about, like really getting to that point. And even the reality of like when I was like I want to work with Belial and I didn't know like what to do other than when I'd go on these runs out in the cold, I'd see this face of fire laughing and it'd make me laugh because I was like, holy shit, I know who it is. And then when you sent me a message that one time saying I need to work with them, like it's just those things like just click, to like just say fuck it, you gotta go and make the shit happen and not be so stuck in those bondages. Because I mean that was my harshest thing, like from doing a spell to being in confession to this to that, like trying to and then you actually get self-love when you do that, that's exactly right what you said. Like that's when you finally feel that freedom to be able to express your spirit. And then, by being your authentic light and authentic self, you're going to bring that authentic life to yourself, from relationships and job. And I mean, shit, that's, here and, we've not for a while, since COVID, you've been able to be self-employed like that. That is so fucking cool. And there's, I don't know, just the reality of being able to do anything you want. I mean, Santa building your own entire army and all that, like that's so kick ass. And I mean, I'm happy. I wish I would have even done it sooner, but you guys probably do it yourself out, and everything's in divine timing as is. You can't have all the upgrades and downloads at once. If we did that, then it would be it'd be too much.
It was. I've got the
Yeah.
headache. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I might turn in the rainbow body. I mean, that is one thing I feel like by the time I get really old, what I would like to do is, like because I've heard people can turn in a rainbow body if you think positive thoughts for all, like, I don't know if it was like 7 years or 9 years. Being a good monk, you can just dissolve like the force. And then I feel like then you'd for sure achieve this life, like if you could do that. But then I'm over here like, well, I also want to be on stage getting wild with people, getting them to break out their shell and like empower themselves and also pick up the trash that's on the fucking ground because, if everyone picked up one piece of trash for one day, we'd be so much clean. Then we could take that analysis and be like, well, let's not making shit that, can't dissolve inside of nature. But that's that's me going on a rant about eco stuff. Jesus Christ.
It's very important. He just had his ayahuasca journey, and we through that. I think that you were saying that you realized that she was probably part of Mother Earth, or
The actual spirit of Mother Earth. Like, that's what I think.
it's very important, and that spirit is calling to a lot of people right now. Especially that it is available here in America, just in Orlando, Florida, for as little as $900. Like it's crazy. So it's becoming more and more available, and people are being called to it. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more people that start thinking that way as more and more people wake up as well.
That's a super great thing to hear and know. I'm without a doubt, like when I heard JD talking about it, like I'm definitely within the next, I don't know, probably like 6 months, because I'm gonna be, probably way out there again. Like I'm definitely about doing that because I feel like it not only is an evolving thing, and I've always loved mushrooms. Like mushrooms are, I feel like it sounds weird. People have not done them, and I say it's like I feel grounded like myself on them. They're like okay, but like for real, like you really get in that in tune and feel just so like connected with the earth as well as like I kind of enjoy, when I would think of an addiction and then like I'd throw up, it'd feel like I was getting that out of myself, like an exorcism of that addiction. And yeah, yeah, that purging. Did you have a lot of purging, or were you just experiencing like communication? I mean, I bet it's beyond words, honestly, but
Yeah, I actually I didn't get sick. I didn't throw up or purge or anything like that. And I remember asking her that, once because I was having clear communication with Mother Aya, and there's people like puking and screaming all around me, and I'm like, are you gonna make me puke and scream and cry too, because I was willing to go through that if I needed to for the spiritual growth. And she was like, no, you've already been purged. I brought you here for one reason, and that was to show you my power. Now here we go. And it was the most amazing, pleasurable, blissful experience I've ever had in my entire life. Like 2 hours straight of just pure bliss. And then she told me to open my eyes and watch. She said, "Oh, open your eyes and watch how I work with others." And I really paid attention to like the volunteers, the ayahuasca shaman, and to what each individual person was going through. And I was able to like tune into people while they were thrashing around and screaming and crying and know like what they were purging, like what they were healing from, what she was pulling out of them. Like it was fucking nuts, man. So, so yeah, like I feel like that's a big part of my calling in the future in my shamanic journey is to do further work with ayahuasca in a black magic setting. So,
mm,
yeah, I'm pretty sure something like that's going to get put together in the future.
God, dude.
Plays out.
Down in Orlando, those people are much more whitish. He was an alien there,
Yeah.
like, so it's such a different
Like,
creature.
They knew there was something weird about me. They were a little, wary of me, but they were still nice and welcoming at the same time, But and they did, ask. We asked if there was no black magic being performed here tonight,
I wonder if
things
they
like
said
that.
just
I don't know, but yeah, like
Wow.
I'm not a light worker, man. I'll never be one of those guys, wearing white and fucking doing what I saw down there, but those people are just as important. I believe that. And so I can only imagine what I could do if I had 40, 50 black magicians all come together and do a ritual with ayahuasca. Like, we could move mountains, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's. It was way back in the day, wait, like 2 years ago, but on a podcast with the EA, he talked about everyone needs to make a black pyramid. And I'm like, dude, I think if a black pyramid was made, like lots of people came together for things like that, or just putting psychic energy and like making all realms of reality possible as like a gateway, like that's the gateway into the future, like taking stuff to the next level, getting the communication with the gods on another level, like, because we can upgrade all this stuff and quit playing the bullshit was me. We can just upgrade and love our life. And, it's obviously with a balance with technology and nature. It's not just pure technology, because then you're just plugged in, and I'm hoping that this isn't a re-experience and I'm plugged in right now. But, whether or not that may be the case, I'm still gonna go, the way I think it should be right and all that. But yeah, with ayahuasca, yeah, that's something I definitely want to do. I mean, I've always loved the psychedelics. Like, it's always been the best, and it's the first time I've actually experienced that self-love. And I know Mother I feel like very called to, just for that case. I mean, with my music now and the way I'm pushing it, it's like this is a way about it. I guess my own. I've been making an excuse, because, the new job, I have to, not call off and blah, blah, blah. That's the only struggle when 9 to 5. But, in a year less, anything's possible. So then I can make that connection and go forth. And what do you guys think about, like, so I have lots of family that's Christian and then they're going to pass away. Do you think that they go into a different realm where it's just going to be like they're gone now, or that it's recycled, or because that is the only intense thing I remember having to deal with, like thinking of that reality.
All right. Well, that goes back to the belief system thing. And I'm not saying that I'm right about this, because there's a lot of strong evidence for reincarnation, like across the board in every culture. All right. Well, Christians, they don't believe in reincarnation. They think one or the other. They don't believe in reincarnation or purgatory. You either go to heaven or you go to hell. And that's their belief system. So if our belief system really does dictate what happens to our soul in the afterlife, then they may very well be finding themselves in either a heaven or a hell. I hope that's not the case. I hope that we do keep coming back until we get it right, till we get awakened, and then we're all able to ascend to that fourth level density eventually. But I mean, I don't want to think about anybody burning in hell forever. I mean, that's evil, man. Like, only an evil God would toss people in a burning pit. And only evil religion would promote burning people alive. And now that we don't have to worry about getting burned at the stake anymore, and we can talk openly about our spiritual practices, that's why you're seeing this explosion, the spiritual revolution. Christianity's on its way out the door. And especially with like the newer generations, like the millennials and stuff, like they're saying, fuck this stupid shit. It's a revolution of the mind, body, and soul. And we're not only are we jump starting that shit just by getting on here and putting stuff out for people that are interested in what we're interested in. But it's not just us. It's all these other different, aspects of spirituality too that are doing the exact same thing. And I don't think that there is a wrong path unless it is a stagnant path. That's the only wrong path is the one that you stay in your own place, stay in your place and don't evolve spiritually. And that's what they want from you in the Christian church. They just want you to sit in church, listen to the preacher man, donate your money, and be a good little sheep until the day you die. And just maybe, if you're lucky, you'll get into heaven. Fuck that shit, man. We are here to enjoy this experience above everything else. Like, life is supposed to be fun. It is supposed to be pleasurable, okay? Because we can enjoy physical pleasures. So why would we want to abstain from sex? Why would we not want to take ayahuasca or eat mushrooms or something like that?
Weed.
Or
I mean,
smoke weed.
There's still people in prison.
Yeah, like, why would we want to have fun and enjoy physicality? And we're also, the other thing we're here to do is to evolve. We're trying to, I feel very strongly that there is something else that we're working up to. We're on the third dimension right now. So maybe when we hit a certain level in the third dimension, then we graduate to the fourth dimension. And then we start climbing that staircase until we actually become high gods, like that's the way I look at it, like it's fucking ladder. But yeah, I mean, if I don't know what's going to happen to your family that is highly Christian. I don't know. I wonder that about like my grandparents. I know she does too. I'd love to see them again, but I'm definitely, I don't believe the same thing that they did. So if our belief system does dictate the afterlife, then yeah, we'll never see them again.
Yeah, that's kind of where it kind of hit with me. And there's been sometimes though, I've been able to feel my dad, and I feel like he's actually now one of my guides, and that's always helpful. Sometimes like, am I just making that up in my head? But like, there's been crazy signs, and like, I mean, as soon as he passed away, he was a fireman. A fire truck went behind our house, and then our way to the funeral, there was a fire truck that went like right in front. And then like when I met up with my aunt, like to go, celebrate a thing for my dad, a fire truck was right there, and like there's just been signs, and like I feel like I hear his voice and all that, and that's comforting. But I guess at the end of the day, that's I guess why we're trying to help everyone else ascend too. Like I would rather it be those climbing up the stairs, so it's not get here and then all right, it's over. It's that continual growth, and stagnant water creates disease. You always have to keep that flow. I absolutely agree with that. That's right on. Hey, well, I'll let you guys just please shout out your guys' channel and everything. And I just want to again thank you both for coming on here. And like I wish I would have had live set up, but next time I will have live set up because it's always fun getting them involved too. But like, yeah, just thank you, and I'm excited about all the stuff you guys are doing. Plus, all the stuff I've been able to learn. Like it's real shit, everyone. Like go work with the Sarte, go work with the Belial, just go work with Shimyaza. Please work with the Master Key. Take a look at these things. But yeah, please.
Thank you so much for having us. I know before you hit record, we were talking about our beer, boobs, and black magic on Friday nights on JS Garrett is the name of our YouTube channel. It's 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. We do it every single week. This coming up week, we will have a do-it-yourself love rite. And then you were talking about bringing lots of people together to create group rights. That's something once we get our subscribers up, we would love to do. So we will be working on maybe putting together, well, we will be.
Yeah,
we'll be doing some group rights.
Yeah. We had to start over with our YouTube channel because we got locked out of the old one. So we're having to rebuild our fan base. So if you guys are watching this, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Over at JS Garrett.
Yeah, JS Garrett. And we have a new website, jsgarrett.com, that we both have services and products on there. So definitely check us out.
Yes, and then I'm not sure when you're going to drop this, but Halloween weekend, you were talking about working with the Master Key. Halloween weekend, there is the Dark Art Summit. You can find it named exactly that, Dark Art Summit, on Discord server. It is the server, that's the name of the server. Sorry, it's a new social media for me, so I'm still learning all the words. Anyway, on that weekend, it's like $60-something for a ticket too. It's like next to nothing. EA Quetting is going to be doing multiple presentations and rituals. JS will be doing a ritual, a live ritual that'll be initiation with Shimyaza and creating your own shaman stone, as well as a presentation on working with the Master Key and the power of that. And then I will be showing my apocalypse water creation that I did for the virus frequency hijacking rite, which included working with Margol, Belial, Shimyaza, Astarte, Satan himself, as well as Baal, the storm god. And then I will be doing a presentation on how to create magical elixirs and how I create them to harness power. They're not, what sets them apart from the other 10,000 products out there, and how you can make that yourself and create that much power and set yours apart.
And I have heard about some people using your Asarte's water, the salt water. Yeah, and that shit, already hearing like the differences it's made in people's lives, like that's some crazy shit. I know I had to add that to the list of stuff to check out because there's just all these different things. Like even with I forget the makeup lady that you had on who was selling her stuff.
Those.
Yeah.
With transformations. I think it's called Skin Transformations. Yeah.
Yeah, just like hearing about her story with all that too, and like I just see like those type of rise here on the products. It's not just a product; it's an energetic, transference product to help out things, not just bullshit written on something, like the most manufactured shit, like the energy behind it. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll send you some slut water if you send us your email or your address. I'll get you a vial of it, and you can test it out and do some. Yeah.
That's okay, please, and I'll give a big review for that. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Add it to your master key workings, and will blow your fucking mind.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's so awesome. Thank you so much, and I'm excited to be able to also check out those totems. I'm gonna build up a totem, and it'll be a totemly good story. God, I can't believe it.
You are corny.